listeners. Welcome to Mixtapes and Mopeds with Red Wheels Panda. What's happening, Panda?
This is number 15, right?
Number 15. Yes, it is.
Wow.
Number 15. And
Wow.
that user count's really jumping up there. I think it helped out with these guests that are coming and joining the show. I did see that the Pandas in the news, the Pandas moved back to San Diego, back where they started from.
Yes, I saw that as well. We are everywhere. We are once again beloved in our San Diego Zoo. And this Atlanta panda family will like to get back there and check out our cousins. So that was cool. I'm glad that
That
the
way, which what a cool zoo too. And you had to have been there while you were out there. That's
yeah.
just a great zoo.
I'm not like a big zoo person, but that zoo is like on a different level than all the others. Just
Yeah,
very cool.
pick two. The San Diego and the Columbus Zoo. The Columbus
Columbus
Zoo.
is actually daggone good too. I agree.
Listeners, as you see, we have the guest host. Now I have to be really careful. We have this special guest host this week. I don't want to call up the divorce attorney after we get done with the show. I gotta be really nice. We have the SEC expert because this week we're gonna have the dedicated show to college football. We have the one and only Barbara Wheeler. Welcome to the show,
Barb!
Barbara.
Woo, Barb! We
Thank
finally
you. It's
crossed.
nice to be the inaugural woman on the show.
Yes,
That's
Yeah.
right. There you
Finally, you
go.
have some class that have come
yeah,
into
I was
this.
saying we're classing up this joint now. It's a strategic move on our part.
Well, with new guests, we ask our new guest some three questions. I think it was two questions before, but we really like the one. Mine was the flute, if we remember from one of the. So, if you could play with any band in history, who are you playing for, and what instrument are you taking over? Now, I kind of remember you being in high school. You played some trumpeting thing, like a French horny deal.
So I've already played in a world-renowned band at Richardson Junior High. Mhm.
Oh, junior high. You didn't make it to the
Yes,
high school. Okay.
junior high.
All
No.
right.
And I played the cornet, which is like a trumpet. But then I switched to the French horn because me and the other boys were going first chair, second chair, third chair, first chair. So the band director said, "Why don't you go play French horn?" So I've played my instrument. So if I were to be in a band, since I've already been in one, I really would rather be a lead singer.
Ooh, wow. Up in the front.
Bold. Okay. What band?
Judas Priest.
Berlin.
Oh, I knew it.
I
You
could
know,
be a
Wow.
Terry Nunn from Berlin. I could be a Belinda Carlisle from the Go-Go's. I grew up in the 80s. These are my bands.
Wow, I can definitely see you fronting Berlin. That is a natural fit.
seen it at
Yeah,
every darn
I
song,
put
every darn
blonde on
song.
the tips of my hair. She was blonde with black on the tips of her hair. I just, put
Yes.
blonde on the tips and yeah.
Can you get that color at Walmart? Not have to go to the hairstylist to get that
No,
done?
I have to go to Whitney. I have to go to Whitney.
Oh, okay.
Sounds like the
Just
guy who
checking.
saw the credit card statement from the last film.
All right. What was your favorite cereal growing up?
All right, so I'm going to go a little bit off here. Everyone's talked about like cold cereals. I loved cream of wheat. The maple
Oh,
brown sugar cream of wheat.
good
Yes.
call. That's
Brown
Yeah.
sugar.
solid.
Yeast.
Yeah.
Again, bringing a little class to the show,
Yeah,
kind of
that's a
step it up a
solid
bit.
pick.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I
And I
didn't.
loved it when it mixed and you'd have those clumps.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
Uh-huh.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the clumps too.
Yeah.
Especially good because, being from the Midwest and it's colder and just crap out there and having that little warm bowl before you head off to school, that was good stuff. Yeah, good call.
Yeah.
It's been a while since I
Okay.
eat. Whew.
So we've answered this one and delicately stepped through the doo-doo on what's the dumbest thing you ever did in high school or college.
So knowing that my stone is going to listen to this, I'm gonna have to plead the fifth.
Oh,
Oh, plead the fifth.
There are many
It must have
stories I
been
could tell,
really
but
bad.
those can wait till the kids are older. Yes,
what was his name?
I'm pleading the fifth on that.
So what age are we talking? Like they're 40?
30.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you,
Oh, wow.
listeners. We've got the question out there posted out on one of the sites. And they were pinging us to see, and Barbara, we will also ping you on this. And Andy, go kick it off. What is your favorite ice cream flavor?
So everybody knows me that knows pandas love ice cream. So
You like
there's
bamboo?
I like bamboo flavored ice cream, but it has to be ice cream. So I have a wide variety of personal favorites. I love like cookies and cream, pralines and cream. I like anything with peanut butter and chocolate in it. But my go-to that I pretty much go to probably 80% of the time is mint chocolate chip. That's my go-to.
Really? Huh.
Really? I like a mint chocolate chip. I do like a mint chocolate chip. It's not a popular flavor.
Yeah,
It is not. That was my favorite as a kid.
Oh.
And then as an adult, I got, taste and decided that was.
Oh, wow. Wow. Ouch. Ouch. All right. Well, Steve, what's your
I guess
flavor?
I stepped on that there, the little mint chocolate chip. Let's go. I'll go next. Same thing. 80% of the time, I go to this, and go look at every flavor that they've got in there, and you can salivate over all of them. But I will say definitely cookie dough, and it's got to be loaded with dough. And I really like to put in the granola as my topping when I get it. So you have a little crunch to your ice cream, a little cookie dough, just feed up on sugar. I don't really have ice cream that much, but that's my go-to. Or slapping Andy's custard my way, man. That is ha 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 ha
Man,
yummy.
Rico Suave. I'm a big fan.
Oh,
All right, Bob.
ladies last, Barbara.
All right. So I don't do ice cream that often either. But when I do, it's got to have something caramel in it. So I love a salted caramel. My favorite is probably either the Talente salted caramel truffle layered one in the supermarket. Oh God, it's so good. I also love a Dairy Queen Blizzard with the Heath bars.
Oh, I've done that.
Vanilla though, not chocolate.
No, that's
Yeah,
a
always
solid
vanilla.
move. The Heath bar is a very solid move on the Blizzard. Yes.
Yeah,
Underrated, very underrated move. I make that move myself. Yes.
just love
Interesting.
caramel. Yeah.
You're all
Good.
different. I could eat, by the way, I could eat all of those. So I don't discriminate.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Give me some mint chocolate chip and go live.
Oh yeah.
Back in the old times, I'd have it any day of the week. It just this. Don't ever order it anymore, but it is yummy.
Yes.
So we have a big show. Actually, families, the pandas and the red wheels are going to a concert this weekend. And Panda, go ahead, tell us a little bit about the show that we're going to go see.
Yeah. So we're going to our local kind of favorite amphitheater here in Alpharetta, and it's Train, who they hold a special place in my heart. I think all of our hearts, because Train broke like right around the time that the Wheelers became romantically involved.
Yes.
And
Are you talking about
um,
the Hilton Head trip that you guys are going?
Yes.
Oh
There
yes,
were two
boy,
songs we played,
Wheelers.
and Train was one of them.
yes. And so that trip where you guys, became a couple, and we were there with you. That song is just Train. Is just every time I hear it, I go straight back to that week in Hilton Head. So that's a very like special band, and their music is amazing. It's like right up our alleys. You guys, I think, have listened to them even more than we have. But I was going through their catalog. I'm like, Oh yeah, this is great. Their set list is great. They even cover, I think, a Led Zeppelin song or something. So it's going to be a great show. They're definitely the headliner. But having said that, I'm a massive REO Speedwagon fan, so I never would have put Train and REO on the same bill. It just doesn't really match. But I'm happy they did because REO is still great after all these years. So they'll probably get 8 or 10 songs, and then the Yacht Rock Review would be the opener, and I've heard those guys, and they play all the songs from the bands that no longer tour or anything. So you're going to hear like these onesie twosie great songs from the.
No kidding.
Oh
I've been
yeah.
wondering what the heck I'm going to be listening to.
Oh my God, you're going to hear
Oh,
Buffett. You're going to hear like Ambrosia. You're going to hear all these things like the one hit wonders from like the 70s and 80s, and so yeah, they put on a heck of a show. So that's going to be a very fun outing this Saturday night, for sure.
that will be cool. Well, we already know that there's two of those bands we'll be, and if they're playing those one-hit wonders, we will be definitely having a good time. Ah, good
Be the
call.
singer.
You'll be the singer?
I'll be the singer.
There we
All right,
go.
you be the singer.
Bring your earplugs. I'll be the singer.
Okay.
You'll be fine. All right, we're going to roll into segment number one. For everybody here, our fans love the Dirty Niner, and everybody listens to see the Dirty Niner list. And the Dirty Niner list this week is we are picking out. We have a little puppy dog here that whenever you get a treat or a bone out, our little puppy dog just starts salivating and it's like dripping on the floor, and you're going, we're talking about where is the best meals you ever have? What is that meal? It doesn't mean we'll talk the restaurant, but what is that meal that just makes you start dripping on the floor and going, oh, golly, I gotta have this one. It sounds like it would be awesome. So we're going to kick it off with ladies first. So the number one meal out. Barbara, what is your favorite meal and what is the place that you have to go get that meal?
Okay, you guys are probably gonna laugh. Um,
We hope.
Paris,
Okay.
Beauvoir.
Oh, anywhere? Is there any
Anywhere
particular
in
place?
Paris.
Anywhere.
I love
Wow.
my goose duck Beauvoir.
You know what? I was looking up, I couldn't find the restaurant where I had the best foie gras. I was going to put it in my list. I could not. It's somewhere on the Seine, right near Notre Dame. It probably doesn't exist anymore, but I had one of the best meals of my life there and couldn't find it.
Yeah.
The only reason I can't remember is because they serve a glass of alcohol every round they bring out to you, and it's a 4-hour meal. You'll walk out of there stumbling down the road.
Red wine with it. But yes, I could eat foie gras and drink red wine my whole way through Paris, France. Yes.
Good call. With one of those little cheese sandwiches, and with a little.
Well, that's the other thing.
Oh, we got a little
baguettes with the
coming
one
up.
slice of ham,
Yeah.
one slice of cheese, the sweet cream
Oh.
butter.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Good call.
You can't beat that.
I will absolutely be right on board with that. Paris with those two things. That they have the best when it comes to food there. Panda. So we have to sandwich in between the wheelers here. Let's get you at number two. What's your favorite spot go-to meal?
So this couldn't be more representative of the Wheelers versus the Young. So the Wheelers start off with a fun meal in Paris, and I'm going with a American chain restaurant meal. But the first time I had it, and I've probably had it like 20 times in my life. But I am the biggest fan of the Chang's spicy chicken at PF Chang's. That is like
Oh,
that is my
Good
go-to
call.
meal. Like
that's
I can eat that like every week for the rest of my life.
I am with you. There is the PF Chang's, regardless. We don't get there enough. We always go, closer down the road. PF Chang's, they were such a hot spot, and then, there's every other Chinese joint that opens up. But they really do a great job with
The
Yeah,
lettuce wraps are good.
it
Yeah.
is
Their
just,
Mongolian
they're
beef is
all good. The
delicious.
Mongolian
Yeah.
beef, yeah, I was trying to think about the
Yeah.
other one.
Yeah.
Oh, solid call. Don't
That's a
be
good
ashamed of
one.
that one. That's a great call. Absolutely. So I will say, thinking of the puppy story for me, whenever I go and say, hey, we're going to go do it, the restaurant itself is just okay. But the meal that we have at this restaurant was one of our first meals that I took. Matter of fact, it was the first meal my wife had. So my meal is the menu starts off with it's a crispy spinach with portobello mushrooms with a sweet soy sauce sprinkled, and then it has red ginger, pickled
Mm.
ginger on top. The second thing you come in with is you get some a spicy vegetable bowl, not excuse me, soy sauce. It's not spicy; it's sweet vegetable bowl, and you wrap it up with something called tuna symphony, which are four tuna the sushi. Oh, is it five tuna things? And I mean, all of these things you share. It is the best meal. I've traveled all over the world. And it's a Genki. The restaurant itself is very marginal. It's just they used to have two or three really good locations, but that meal, without a doubt,
Yeah.
makes me right now. I'm thinking, golly, I want to get down to Genki. So if anybody ever picks out when I say I wanted my favorite meal, that meal without it used to be down in Buckhead and used to be across a fire station. We used to take our son down there when he was little, and whenever the fire trucks would go out, he'd say, "Fire, fire, fire, big fire."
Yeah.
So not only was the food good, we had a little entertainment listening to him. Fire, fire,
Yeah.
fire.
Connor used to do the same thing. He would same fire truck, but he contracted the middle just like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Came out the same way.
Well, you guys were just glad he wasn't crying.
Yes.
Right.
So where is
All right,
Genki?
Barbara. That was
So Genki's now at the Prada.
yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's
There.
the last standing one is at the Prada. Yeah.
Very good.
I
Cool.
swear I want to go grab those three dishes and take them. We've got a local one that we go to. We know the owners, and I just want to say, can you make this?
Yes.
I just want you to add this to the menu. I don't care what you call it. Call it the Steve. Call it anything you want, but I want this.
Yeah.
And see if they would ever be able to put it on their menu.
It is
By the
good.
way, before we get into this next round, Jill has told me that if either you, Barb, you or Steve don't mention this one particular meal, then I'm going to have to mention it on your behalf. So uh, I am closely listening to what the next few choices are.
I have it as an honorable, and I think I know what you're
I
talking
think I
about.
know what it is.
Yeah, Barbara,
Yep.
what
The next one.
is
So
number 4?
yeah, so the next one. So when Steve and I got engaged, we were on a club trip over in Monaco. And then after we got engaged, we went over to Rome. And the concierge told us about this. We were looking for a good Italian restaurant. It was kind of back an alley back behind our hotel. And I got some kind of spaghetti carbonara that was to die for. I mean, I don't think I've ever had fresh pasta before. And I think they made their pasta fresh. Now, we were Americans, so they sat us way in the back outside of the sight of anyone
Next to
else.
the toilets, which were next to
Yeah.
the kitchen, which
And it was 6 o'clock, so no, or 7. Nobody else was in the restaurant. I mean, come on, it's Italy. They're not coming until 9. But anyway,
the
it
best
was
pasta ever. It
fantastic.
was so good.
Yeah,
I thought about that one too. That one almost made my list. That was so good.
so good.
Just down from the embassy too. It's kind of close to the embassy and the hotel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good call. That's a really good one.
Maybe one day
Oh,
you'll take me back there and I can have it again.
Yeah.
sure. We'll be back there. Panda, number
All right.
5.
Yeah. So for years, decades now, we've been going to Hilton Head, and we've been going for about 10 years to this little, like, small, little, almost bar with a deck place, because the boys love
Oh
triggerfish
yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah.
So it's called Up the Creek. So we've been going to Up the Creek And it's cool because that's where the dry dock is. So they bring the boats out and you watch the boats go out. Well, this year, next door is a place called Fish Camp. And we went to Fish Camp for the first time ever. And oh my God, did we not know what we were missing all these years?
It's amazing.
So, and I ordered something that looked good to me, and I had perhaps the best meal I've ever had in my life. Certainly the best kind of, I'm not a big seafood person, but the shrimp and polenta at Fish Camp in Hilton Head is the best thing I've ever had. It was spicy, but not overly spicy and flavorful. And then polenta, which I've never had before, is basically almost like grit. And the combination of the two, and you mix it together. Oh my God. So that is now on the list every year to go there, and I'll be.
Whenever I hear polenta, I'm going, I'm having afterbirth? Man, I don't think so.
Ew.
Just ruined it for me now.
Ew.
Sorry.
No.
Sorry.
Yeah, Andy, we've been there twice. We went there once, like a couple years ago, after you told us about Up the Creek. We went to Up the Creek and got the triggerfish. And then I think on that same trip, we sat outside and had lunch at Fish Camp. And oh my gosh, yes, it's like a hidden gem that, yeah, it was so good.
So good. Both those two are the hidden gems, the best.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where are we at? Number 6. I struggle because I know which one Andy's talking about, but this one has been a recent add to where I love it, love going to it. It's local. We went to one a long time ago down in Sandy Springs, but now, here it's at Avalon. And you get on the menu and you have like 6 different rices to choose from. You have the barg, you have filet, you have the shish kebab. Um, they're just so good on customer service. The wines are good. It is just complete experience, and the place is constantly packed. Roomies and the meal there, you can't go wrong. I mean, sea bass on there is just fantastic. But that barg and that filet shish kebab, oh gosh, it's so good. And then throw in some of that rice and pick one. I love them all. And the vegetables, and even whatever that, I never know when they bring out the dish with the walnuts and the olives and whatever mint leaf that are coming out. I even like that beginning, just chewing on it's getting your palate ready for what's really coming. So that meal at Rumi's is definitely one. I take a lot of people over to there when they're somebody that's coming new in town and have no clue on what good food around is. Actually, John Cena was just interviewed on Fox 5 this morning. And they go, "What's your favorite restaurant?" He went, "Your Rumi's, hands down the best. It's better than just about anywhere I go." They're filming a movie here. He goes, "I was there all the time." And
they opened one in Houston recently.
Wow.
Yeah,
there
in the Galleria area. Yeah, there's a Rumi's.
Oh wow. Wow.
Definitely ever around the Alpharetta, Atlanta area, Roswell, Sandy Springs. That's the one. It is Panda. Have you been to Rumi's?
So I went with you guys once, but it's right close to my office, and so the people at work love Rumi's, so I go there all the time with work people. Yeah,
absolutely love it.
So good.
All right, Barbara, we're down to number 7. It's your last one on the list. Which one are you going to pick? What's your favorite meal eating out?
All right. So we're going back to Italy, but this time we're going with the pandas.
You might get your wish.
We're getting something that Andy was just looking at, like, what the heck is that? And Jill was looking at it like, can I have a bite? It's a clay pot of seafood in Cinque Terre.
Yes.
Octopus, and it had fish, and it had clams, and it had, I don't know what all it had.
One of the best dishes ever. It is one of the best dishes ever. And even when you say those ingredients of octopus and clams and everything, it has a whole different flavor of the freshness that's caught right there. It's not you could have that somewhere else. It's just not the same dish as that restaurant in Cinque Terre. Was that in Monte Rosso?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's right.
It was in Old Town, I think.
Yeah, it
Montrose.
was.
So yeah, right on
I
the
was,
east.
it's funny. I'm so glad you picked that one because I was on Google Maps and I'm going, what the heck is the name of that place? I was thinking Osteria. I went, no, that's the one he guided us to when we landed somewhere else. I go, listen, Osteria. I could not find it. It may not exist anymore, but oh man, that was one of the best meals of all time.
Well,
Great pick.
you guys are very adventurous. Jill and I are not. And so all we saw was this crock pot of the ocean, like sat on the table. I'm like, what are they going to do with this? And then I didn't even know. It's like pulling stuff out. It's on the table. It's flopping around. I mean, I see every last bit of everything that was in there. It was like we were just impressed. Like, look at these two.
Golly, that was so good.
It
Oh,
was so good. So good.
good pick. That was excellent.
That was a great choice. All right.
Number 8, Mr. Panda.
So I'm going to give a couple of my honorable mentions. Or we're going to do that later.
We'll go back around and go through our honorable mentions after. Yeah, we'll go back through.
All right. So I was living Panda San Diego like 25 years ago, and the pandas were still in San Diego back in the day.
When
This
you met your lovely wife.
I was right
This
before
panda.
that. I lived in Del Mar with my dog Jake, and we there's a Carmel Valley Road, which is cuts through over to the beach, Del Mar, and then you go up, and that's where I lived. And I was at this place probably twice a week, and they're all over town. So it's just, but this one location, I would go take my dog down there, and it's a little like basically a taco stand, but it's called Roberto's. Again, they're everywhere, and I would order the carne asada torta, and I would just throw that down and I've never, we have a couple nice restaurants here that do tortas, whatever. Nobody's come close to it. It's just like the best ever. And when we go back to San Diego, we're going to stop in there, and I assume it'll still be there. But
Good pick. You took me there. That was
Um,
such an
yeah,
awesome. Oh, so good. Oh, that's
yeah,
a good pick. Yes,
yeah,
it's a very memorable. Yeah. I
yeah. I
think
mean,
you and I were at a bar at 9 a.m. watching the Buckeyes playing
oh,
somebody
just up the road from
just
there.
up the
Yes.
road. Yeah. Yep. And we came out there and ate those things at that stand. Yep. Right after the great pick, Panda. That's not just the standard. That's it's
that sounds
different.
good. Panda ate a torta.
I do. Jill likes the way I say torta. I say torta.
Torta.
I'm gonna say torta.
Well, this restaurant used to be here, a staple in Atlanta, and I loved it. It was just one when Barb and I were like first and before kind of kids and even early on kids. I'd go to because it had just something on the menu. I go, I gotta have this. When I just would go, it's the one thing on the menu. The sides were fine, the appetizers were awesome, but this one thing on the menu just always brought us back. So now we have to travel to Hawaii to get to this restaurant, and so
Ah,
it is in Hawaii. It's somewhat of a chain, but it's not. But they have on the menu something called a butterfish, and the butterfish is pretty much like a lobster, but just melts in your mouth. It is so delicious. And Roy's, if you ever can find a Roy's restaurant, they used to have them all over the states. They've kind of had to COVID caught them up, and they still have them open in Hawaii, the main island, and Kauai, and I think the mainland also has it. So find a Roy's, go order the butterfish, one of the best meals you'll ever have, and you just will be going, I got to go back to see Roy's.
and a
Mom, number
good
9.
and a good story on Roy's though. So we were in Maui for a trip for Chloe's high school graduation. So I think it was like
COVID, man,
2020. It was right after they kind of opened up again.
just opened up. Yeah.
Just kind of opened up to where you didn't have to wear your mask in the resorts. And there was a Roy's kind of walking distance within all these hotels. We happened to mention it to one of the servers around the pool. Turns out her husband was we couldn't get a reservation. Turns out her husband was a chef at that Roy's. And she was able to get us in there like 2 hours before we had to leave to the airport to go home. So we got a really nice Roy's dinner. Yeah.
I was very grateful because I had tried all week to get a reservation at a joint and we
Just
couldn't.
couldn't get it.
It was always packed and couldn't get it, and she made it happen.
Yeah.
And I had my beautiful butterfish. Yummy, yummy. Honorable mentions. Barbara, any honorable mentions that you want to think about of any of the food restaurants?
Well, yeah. So in Atlanta, we've got so many great places in Atlanta, and some that stick out to me. I love Iberian Pig in Decatur. Their tapas are just fantastic.
Oh,
Don't get to eat there
fantastic.
very often, but I absolutely love any opportunity that I get to go to Iberian Pig. My next one would be the Mini Olivia's chopped salad in downtown Alpharetta. I absolutely love their chopped salad at Mini Olivia's. It's awesome. Their salad dressing there is fantastic. And then I have to mention this one. If anyone is ever in a Golden Nugget casino or downtown Houston, check out Vic and Anthony's. It's a high-end steak place, and they have the best crab cakes you have ever had in your life, amongst other things.
Wow.
Yes.
I
In
almost hit
Golden
crab
Nugget
cakes from
casinos.
Phillips Seafood was going to make my list up in Maryland. One of the best meals. Interesting. We have to try to check that out.
Yes, they are fantastic
Good
amongst the
call.
steaks and everything else. But yes.
Panda, any notables for you?
All right, so La Fonda is one of my favorite spots in
Oh
Brooklyn.
gosh.
Oh, did you
Yeah.
not remember
Oh
that one, Steve?
man. Oh
Cuban.
yes. Ordering the yeah, that's one of the best meals ever. The I get the rice. What's the rice thing?
Paella.
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 Oh,
They have
this
like
is
4 or 5 different versions of a Cuban sandwich. They are freaking to die for.
hands
So
down. I'm salivating right now. Me and the dog are gonna jump in the car.
No, you're not. No, you're not.
I have the next one. I have to pay tribute, but a 4-way with onions and a coney from Skyline Chili. I gotta put it on the list.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I had that in my show notes. You know what? Give me a skyline, and I never have it. I get up to Ohio, and I'm never in the mood.
Oh God, no.
Absolutely. Oh yes, absolutely. So good. Oh
And
yeah.
then
Oh,
the
mm.
third one for honorable mention is just the lobster at Lobster Village, which is south of Tijuana, south of not Ensenada, Rosarita. When we lived in San Diego, when it was safe to cross over, you would drive down about 20, 30 miles, and it was called Lobster Village. And this is right where they pulled the lobster out of the water. And you go to any of like 3 or 4 different restaurants, and you were like eating lobster for like $9, and like a full like thing of lobster and all the trimming. So I don't know if it's still open and all that, but that is the best. That's the mecca of lobster eating
Yeah,
in my
no,
book.
what does that remind you of, sweetie?
Well, I had it as a notable for we had a lobster on our way to Key West. We had a sandwich. It was called it's on my list, the Key Fisheries at Marathon Key, where you had one. Oh my God, it was so
Yeah, that was
good.
good.
I don't know if you remember that. It's
Yep.
outdoors.
You
So
just reminded me of another one I thought of
what other
something.
one?
The Blue Heaven Lobster Benedict.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, down in same thing, Key West. We were right in the same place of the country. Yes. I don't know if you remember that lobster roll that we had on our way getting
I
to Key
do.
West. Oh God,
Yeah,
that was
it's delicious.
one of the best lobster rolls. That beats out the Maine lobster people with the food truck all day long, and it was only like $13 or something at the time. Who knows what it is now? So honorable mentions. We've mentioned a few of these, but really, I wanted to make Jiangsu Jiang on my list. If you've never had Korean, the Korean Jiangsu Jiang here in town in Atlanta, just fantastic. Another one you got to check out is I like this trio. You order 3 different New Orleans dishes. It used to be called Adele's. Now it's called Wegmans. One of my favorite meals. I mean, if we go think about, I want to go get a little red beans and rice. I want to get a little anything from a New Orleans taste. Ah, it's so good. So Italian, we talked about Rome here in certainly have had Italian up in Boston and in New York, and there's some places just the best. But in town here, if you want to have fun and have some good Italian food, El Localina down in Inman Park was probably, it's not as much as about the food, it's about the fun time you have because they get you up dancing on top of the table, eating the food. So it's not, I mean, it's just an experience.
Got a disco
And
ball in the middle of the
the disco
restaurant.
ball, they're playing music, just fun, fun, fun. You've got to always check that one out. Highly, highly recommend it. Rue and Roswell. So Rue go-to joint Sundays. It's dollar oysters, and they have the best. So Andy, if you like your Cuban sandwich, go to Rue in Roswell. They have one of the best Cuban sandwiches, and they make their own hot sauces. So you have a choice to go add a little bit of spicy stuff to it. I still have a ton more, but I'm gonna go with one more. Big Bad Breakfast in Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama. They're oh God bless their biscuits in the morning and their menu just outstanding. Big Bad Breakfast. You find any of them in the South, stop in and go fall in love with the food. It's just awesome. Wow, we really went through a lot of the food. Now we're going to talk about college football for all who's waiting on hearing the top five lists. All right, going into our next segment, we have the top five lists. So we're going to focus on the two power leagues, the Big Ten and the SEC. And we have the SEC expert here on the podcast. We have the official SEC expert, Barbara, knows all about the SEC. And then we're going to go pick our top five, who we are believing at the moment who's top five. And we're all going to go through our lists, who we think is at the top of the list. We're going to start off with the Big Ten. And with the Big Ten, I'm going to go defer to the king of the Big Ten here, Mr. Panda. Let's talk Big Ten and who is your top five and go through the teams.
All right. So I think the Big Ten is pretty top heavy this year. Not as deep as the SEC is at the top, but there's some really strong teams. So it was pretty hard. I think Ohio State is the clear best team in the Big Ten, but they may not even win it because they got to go to Oregon in October, and I think Oregon could easily win that game. So I'm going Ohio State 1, Oregon 2. I look at Pick Six previews. They have Ohio State as the second best defense and or second best offense and the best defense in the Big Ten. And Oregon has the best offense and the third best defense. So I think those two are kind of a notch above. And then I have Penn State third. They're at the fourth offense and the number five defense. They're very balanced. And then my surprise pick here is USC because I think they have a dog meat defense. They're predicted to be 10th in the Big Ten and D, but they're going to have the third best offense. I think they're going to surprise. I think Lincoln Riley's going to leave like any
Huh.
year now. I think he's probably going to go all in. He's got a new defensive coordinator, so I'm going to call that as my surprise. And then I'm going to have Michigan in the 5 slot. Although Michigan, I would say if you're trending them up or down, I would trend them down because I think there's going to be a lot of kind of turbulence going on in that program this fall. If the NCAA ever comes out with anything, that could have some impact on them. And they lost a ton. They lost their coaching staff. They lost, most players, I think, in college football. So the fact that they're even in the top 5 is something. So those are my 5. The surprise teams, I would say, would be Iowa because they have one of the best defenses, but they have a dog meat offense. And Rutgers is just on the up with Shiano. He's a great coach. I think those are my surprise teams. Now, I went to Google AI and I wanted to see what Google said. So here's Google's order. They have Ohio State 1, Michigan 2, Oregon 3, Penn State 4, USC 5. So actually the same 5, just in a jumbled order. So I don't think Google knows anything about anything. But I thought it would just be interesting to see what the AI thinks. So there's my Big Ten.
Interesting.
No.
Go talk to Tyler and place your bets.
Exactly.
Red. All right. I will go ahead and kind of piggyback though. So I took analytics instead of I try to take myself and because obviously I'm a homer for Ohio State. Obviously, I'm a homer for Ohio State and Ohio University, and so I went, all right, let's go look at the analytics. And so I looked at really four categories. The first category is how does Vegas appear? What's Vegas betting on? Those guys put a ton of money, and so Vegas I'm betting on, but they're also kind of skew it. The other thing I was looking at, returning players, returning starters. What's the age of the team and the people that are coming back? The other one I looked at was power rankings. How well are the power rankings, meaning for them to create explosive plays? And then the last one is how many 4 or 5 stars are on the team? What's their ranking for the amount of talent that they have on the team? So I was looking at that, and it's just for all of the things that. So I've got a little different one at number 5. So you were talking about Iowa. They've got 69. They're ranked 30th for the returning starters. They have a ton of returning starters. If they can, with their new offensive coordinator and firing the son and the head coach, if they can get anywhere just below top 100, that team defensively is fantastic. Their schedule is pretty favorable. They're a solid, to me, a solid number 5. The other one that you didn't mention, but they're number 3 in returning production, meaning their players all came back. And this guy's been rebuilding this team. He was successful down at Baylor, but Nebraska, I have him at number 4. And if you
Mhm.
look at Nebraska's schedule, they play Ohio State the 7th game into their schedule. They literally could come in 7-0 playing in Ohio State at home. So I think Nebraska number 4 is going to be solid coming in. They have a lot easier schedule. Then the next 3 are just this is the top heavy of the Big Ten. These next 3, without question, Penn State. They have a lot of returning players. I think they have their 4 and 5 star rating is equal to Michigan, not equal to Ohio State, but they're up there. And then the top 2, just flip them back and forth. I think Oregon's the best team based off of new metrics. They're ranked 28th in returning production, so they have a lot of people coming back. And they have an explosive rating of 2. But Ohio State, kind of what you were talking about, Andy, Ohio State's ranked number 1 in explosive players that are coming out. They're 2 running backs, the 2 receivers. They're our biggest question mark on the whole team is can the quarterback
Yeah.
manage the game? I mean, we have one question mark. So it really is. You could switch out 1 and 2. So noticeably, Michigan missing is Michigan, which Vegas thinks they're going to be at 9.5 wins. And I look at it, Michigan, man, they ranked 128th in returning starters. So unless that guy works magic of these young kids coming in, there's no way Michigan's going to get to 9.5. If I had anything of a pick, go out there and bet at less than 9.5 wins on Michigan, you're probably going to make easy money on that. I still think they're going to be a good team. They're going to play everybody hard. They still have a lot of 5 stars. They have a lot of all Americans, but they're just not going to be the team. We should be Ryan Day should be putting up a W this year and finally getting that off his back. Like you said, Andy, I think his one loss for the year might be Oregon. And the other tough one's Penn State for the Buckeyes, but we will see.
I
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, just commenting on yours. I had Iowa at 5th on my list as well, and then I saw where they had a scrimmage over the weekend, and Cade McNamara, who's their quarterback, was 7 for 20 for 20 yards in the scrimmage
Against their defense.
I'm like, no, nothing's changed there.
Same old, same old. Wonderful. No, I didn't see that. Well, my other one I was sitting on is Wisconsin. I mean, they have a boatload of returning starters, and I mean, you can't go against their coach, man. He will figure it out. He will definitely figure it out. But I do not believe in USC. I think they're going to suck it up again. Their schedule's tough. They're not going to They're not doing it. Michigan, there's not enough people returning.
Yeah.
All right, what's your top 5 of the Big Ten there, sweetie?
All right, so I go a little more on gut and a little more on what I've seen the teams do over the last couple of years and where they're kind of coming out. So Ohio State has the highest payroll. So they're number one, right? I mean, they've paid all their players to be there. They've got great players. They got my best guy from Alabama. You're number one. Then I'm going to go with Penn State.
There we go.
Because Franklin's got to do something at some point.
True.
You know, so he's at least got to get into the playoffs.
They're getting in the playoffs, I think, this year.
They'll get
It's
in.
a pretty solid bet.
Yeah.
I think so.
Even at 3 losses, I think they might even have a shot. But I think they're going to be a 10-2 team.
Yeah, I think they usually are.
As long as they beat West
They
Virginia.
usually are. Except this year, I think they're going to be an 11-1 team because they only play Ohio State.
That's pretty bold. Okay.
They don't have Michigan on their schedule. Then I'm going with Iowa.
Woo! I love it.
I mean, Baby Ferenza's gone.
Yeah.
So defense wins games. I'm going to go with Iowa.
Their defense is rock solid. They're legit.
Uh-huh.
They don't have
Yeah.
to score
Rock
much
solid.
to win. They don't have
Yep.
to score much to win. That's a solid choice there.
3 All-Americans on that defense.
So then I'm doing Oregon. Everyone's touting Oregon as being, this great team. Well, we've seen the Pac-12 play other conferences.
Okay. Yeah.
And they lost Penix. So not so sure.
No, Penix was at Washington.
Oh, they lost Nix.
Yes.
I always got those two confused.
they're
Okay,
both-
they
Bo Nix.
lost Nix, right?
That's why
So
she's the expert at the
Oregon-
SEC.
That old Auburn quarterback that they let go.
Yeah.
And then number 5, I mean, Lincoln's got to do something. He's got to, do something here. So I'm going with USC at number 5.
Pretty boy's not doing anything.
Right. He's got, I mean, it's time. It's time. Don't be a Kiffin at UNC. Come on.
Don't be a Kiffin at UNC.
Mhm.
USC. All right, good picks. Good picks. All right, so I think we're gonna flip it. You're still I think because we have the resident expert, I think you're still gonna be up. We want to hear from the expert on the SEC. Give us your list. What are your top 5 in the SEC?
All right. So obviously, we've got a lot of people that have left defense on our defense, but we still have some good leaders. We have a coach that played in the national championship who's an offensive guy. Our last coach was a defensive guy. We still have a good defense.
Worked out pretty well.
Worked
that
out
guy.
pretty well. So I'm putting Bama
All right.
at number 1. Number 2, somebody that studied under Saban that moved over to one of Andy's alma maters. I think Texas.
Ooh, nice.
I think Texas is number 2. Number 3, Georgia. It's hard to three-peat. They have a very tough schedule. They have to play Bama. They have to play Texas. They have to play Ole Miss.
Their schedule is brutal.
Yeah.
Brutal.
All
And
capital.
Bowers is gone. Yeah.
Although I would give Texas even a harder schedule than Florida. Have you seen Florida's schedule? Oh my God.
Texas schedule's not that bad.
They play
got
Michigan.
Michigan that they'll blow past. They got OU that is always a tough game for them. And they've got Georgia, which I think they'll beat. Because it's at home.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So who's your 5th team?
Actually, I didn't give you my 4th.
Oh, okay. Got 3.
My 4th is Ole Miss.
Okay.
Because I mean, Kiffin, it's his time, and it's an easy schedule, very easy schedule.
They do have a very favorable schedule.
They do. The tough game. They've got LSU and they've got Georgia. So they'll be a 2-loss team most likely. And then my fifth one, another easy schedule, Missouri.
Wow. Okay. I did
Yep.
not look at their schedule.
They did very good last year. They do not play LSU or Georgia or Tennessee. Not that
Wow.
really Tennessee matters, but so yeah. A&M I think could be a sleeper, but I don't think so because I mean the coach came from Duke, ACC. He had to rebuild his team, but he did get a lot of guys out of the portal. I so I don't know. I don't. Yeah, LSU is probably number 6 to me.
Good call. All right, there. We had it from the voice of the SEC expert of the ladies of the SEC.
Sorry,
I will
Chloe
go.
and Stone.
Well, yeah, I did.
They
I was
have
looking
hard
at.
schedules too. It's not fair for teams like Auburn and South Carolina to have such hard schedules.
Yeah, they have to play some off schedule, pretty hard teams.
Really hard. Yeah.
So I'm going to start at the bottom of the list. I got to say the hard ones that to not take: Missouri, hard not to take; Tennessee, Texas A&M, But I have to agree, Auburn. That was a tough one. I really wanted to take Auburn into my list, but I started number 5. I think Kelly has something he has to go prove. His defense. I was so shocked last year at number 5. Man, his defense is going to improve. He put a better coach into place. He doesn't have a ton of people coming back, but the ones he has coming back on offense, they're explosive. He has got some people. Very interesting fact for LSU that 66% of his players come from in-state. That's pretty, from the fan base, local. That's a pretty big deal of recruiting, and he's the best out of all the big, top 30 teams. They're getting everybody from in-state. Number 2 there is Alabama from getting in-state. So at number 4, actually, in the SEC, I have Alabama. The reason I have Alabama at 4 is because Vegas thinks they're going to win 9.5, but they're ranked about 115th for returning players, and that's a big deal of not having people coming back. Now, they're 4 and 5 stars on the team. They're number 2, so we have a crap ton of 4 and 5 star players. So the talent's there, and they have God bless. He's a great coach. The dude never loses wherever he goes. So I probably have them way too far down in the rankings, but they don't have a lot of returning productivity, and I think there's going to be some at the beginning of the season. They better play a couple of patsies, and Wisconsin may not be that patsy. Number 3, I have Ole Miss. I think actually I might have them in the wrong spot. I think they might even be higher than that. This is Lane Kiffin's year to go out there and try to make it. He has got some offense. He is ranked right up there at number 3 with the explosive. Forget about losing the best running back last year. He's replaced it with 2 super running backs. He's got one of the best wide receiver cores out there. Very explosive offense. They're medium on the returning folks, but still pretty good. I mean, they're ranked 60th for returning starters, but I think his offense is really going to explode. And so the next one, I think Georgia is. I listened to you and you had them at number 3 in the SEC.
Well, Kirby can't keep his guys out of jail.
Well, yeah, I think yeah, I'm with you. There's a whole deal
There's
of
something
that.
going on that team.
They don't. They're ranked 50th, 47th in returning, but doesn't matter. You replace them with 5 and 4 star players. It's a well coached team, but yeah, I think there's a little stigma there, and that schedule's pretty tough. So I had them at number 2. But without doubt for me, Texas was number 1 with everything coming back. They have an explosive offense, very similar to Georgia. I think the Texas quarterback's better than I think Ewers is better than Beck, but what's his name? Beck, yeah, right. I think he's better. They're ranked 25th with returning players. They're ranked pretty high in the explosive offense of a five, so they've got everything tooled up to go and be number one in the SEC. So we may see an SEC championship of Texas Georgia, but it's tough to call. But I try to base it
Texas,
on everything
Alabama.
from stats.
Georgia plays Texas. I think the SEC championship would be Texas, Alabama.
Could be.
Could be.
Panda, what's your SEC?
So I just want to make a comment first. I do acknowledge that Barb is the dean of the SEC prognosticators, but I am the only person on this call that has 2 degrees from SEC schools. Did you realize that?
Okay, one that we never even mentioned. We never even mentioned the first one, Andy. They're baseball school. They're a baseball school.
Barely anymore.
It hit me. I was driving to work like, wow, I have degrees from 2 SEC schools now. It's weird. Why am I such a Big Ten fan? I got 2 degrees from it. Anyway, I did go a little bit more in my gut here as well. I would say the first team out for me is Auburn. I think there's a lot of momentum there. I don't like Hugh Freeze at all. I think he's shady and all that, but man, there's a lot of momentum on the recruiting front, and he can coach. So
Man, I love that guy. I got to interrupt there. I love Hugh Freeze. Stone got to meet him on campus one time. I understand where you're going. He had a little shady stuff going on, man, but I love that guy.
He can coach. I just don't think Auburn has a quarterback yet. That's my concern.
yeah,
If
that's
they
why I
could
left.
find a quarterback, they could be back in the game. And I mean, they got to get past New Mexico. I mean, they play them second game, I think.
My surprise team in the SEC this year is Florida, but not for the reasons you might think. They are going to be stink, and their coach is going to be fired by the end of the year because their schedule is hard and they are not good. That coach is gone at the end of the year, so I put them in my surprise team category for the wrong
By the
reason.
way, the number of 4 and 5-star players they have on that team is in the top 15.
No way.
But yes, that's unbelievable with the amount of players they've got. But I'm with you, Andy. That guy can't coach. Unfortunately, I thought he could. But
Well, you can't come from was it Louisiana Tech or Louisiana Monroe
yeah,
to Florida? You can't do that. That's too
they need to
big.
go hire Urban Meyer back and go think about the glory days and hope Tim Tebow's his assistant coach.
Hell, bring Spurrier back.
All right, but getting onto my list, I got Ole Miss at number 5. I agree. I think this is Lane's year. I think he is going to make the playoffs, probably be in the top 8 of the playoff rankings. I think I really like Ole Miss, even though they lost their running back, but they picked up a bunch in the transfer portal, a bunch of players. So I know you mentioned Ohio State bought their team, but Ole Miss definitely bought some of their players. When your recruits are showing up to their first day on campus in Lamborghinis, you're like, some money was exchanged somewhere along the way. So number 4, Missouri. I think they got a good core coming back at a manageable schedule, and I was just really impressed.
Nice, you pulled him in. Man,
Yeah.
they got the best receiver and quarterback combination out there. Really good.
Yeah, so they're solid. I have Bama at 3. I think by the end of the year that Bama could even be the best team in the SEC. I think it's going to take a while to get that system in there, and Milroe's back, and it's like loaded with talent. But I think they're going to stumble a little bit early, so that's why I don't have them at the top. I have Texas at number 2. Quinn Ewers, he's a great quarterback. There's just I wonder if there's going to be, if he has any misstep, they're going to be the Arch Manning whispers, and could the locker room get divided a little bit? I don't know, but
He gets
that's
a
why
little plantar fasciitis of the foot, and we bring in
Wally piffed there or something. But that puts UGA at number 1. But looking at UGA's schedule, I think a reasonable expectation is 2 losses for them this year. So I'm not sure why I put them at number one. If I think they could really have 2 losses at Texas, there's they got Oklahoma, I think got
They're
there's
at Texas, they're at Ole Miss, they're at Bama. They've got
yeah
Clemson at home.
Clemson. That was the other one. Yeah,
It's a tough
it's
schedule.
a tough schedule.
For
Um, I,
once.
I I think Kirby is the best coach though, and even though he can't figure out how to teach his players how to drive around campus, but
Or
um,
not drive.
Would not drive. Yeah, I still think they're probably the best, most talented team. So that's why I put them up there at the top. So that's my top five there. Google AI, by the way, has UGA 1, Alabama 2, LSU 3, Tennessee 4, Ole Miss 5.
Tennessee. Oh
It
gosh.
doesn't know anything. Don't listen to the AI. I just do it for amusement.
Good picks, Panda. I think
Yeah.
to your call for me. I think Alabama is going to stumble early in the season, but I would not want to be playing them in the playoffs because I think once they get their team seasoned, that will be one tough team when it comes into the year.
I
Uh,
think you're gonna see a freshman called Ryan Williams be the next Devontae Smith with Milrow throwing him the ball.
Man,
That's my prediction.
that 4th and 31 to win the Auburn game last year, just about.
Yeah, Texas got that guy.
Jesus.
Texas got Bond. Yeah.
Okay.
hmm That receiver went to Texas.
That's
Wow.
right. I forgot
Yep.
about. Wow.
Auburn had him beat last year. They would not even been playing at
Yep.
all.
No, that was the
No.
one of the craziest plays ever. It just makes up for the kick six or whatever. So I guess it was
Yeah.
just for that.
Yeah. It was nice to see those Auburn fans.
Ah.
What just happened?
Our one of our listeners, one of our only listeners, he still loves you, Mom.
Hey man, I still pay his bills.
All right, let's go into the top 5 teams of the entire year. I'll go ahead and kick it off. We'll save the SEC expert for last. I'll kick it off here. And so, kind of going along with some of the things we talked about, I'm going to go with number 5. I think is probably going to be right up there at the top. They're not going to get the SEC, but they'll be number 5 seeded. Ole Miss, I think, is going to be at number 5. I think they're going to be a good enough team. I think they're going to be floating in either 11-1 or 10-2, getting into the playoffs. So my top 5, and they've just got a ton of talent. That team, they bought a lot of players. They brought them in, and it's Lane Kiffin in his offense. So pretty sure number 5. My surprise was how I was looking at Georgia. I brought Georgia at number 4. I just don't. I've got this like. I think there's something. It probably has to do with the whole problems they had in the off season with different things going on. So I had Georgia at number 4. They probably should be number 1, but looking at all the statistics, I had to keep them going. I think they don't have enough returning players, not enough returning star power. I know the whole world has them at 1. I have them at number 4. I don't think it's going to be an off season. I just think that there's a lot that they're going to be playing into that they're going to have some issues. Number 3, we've got 14 5 stars and 54 4 stars coming back at Ohio State. We've got the talent there at Ohio State. They probably are going to be pretty good. Um, but I think that we've got a couple of teams that just, man, the competition out there between the next two, they could do it. They've got the talent. I think between 4, 3, 2, and 1, they're all the ones that could go win it. Anything below that, except for Alabama, you got to throw that one in there, could go win it at any given time. But this next one too is Texas. So Andy, you said, can Quentin Ewers pull it off, and can Texas keep on rolling with that tough schedule? I had Texas at number 2. If Quentin Ewers gets hurt or Quentin Ewers is not doing good, then do we have that shadow of the Manning come out and go start and kick him out of there. I don't think that'll happen, but
Hey, are you saying Quentin Ewers or Quinn Ewers?
I say Quentin. Yeah, Quinn Ewers. I'm saying Quentin Ewers. Yeah, you're right. I said Quinn Ewers. Yeah,
Got it.
Quinton. Yes, it's Quinn Ewers. Sorry about that. Then number one, I've got Oregon. I think Oregon probably has it lined up this year with the talent they've got, the returning people they've got, the power ratings. I think Oregon, this might be their year.
They picked
But
the quarterbacks as favor for the Heisman. They haven't even played a game yet. It's crazy.
for once, I'm looking at one of those Pac-12 teams or Pac-10 teams. They're going, this team does look pretty good. Never, almost in the last 20 years, and you go, eh. Even when Marcus Mariota, you're going, that guy was not. But no, this team looks pretty filled out. And I'll say my honorable mention is, without question, number 6 to me was Alabama. And Alabama could be number 2 or 1. They could be anywhere in this list, without question. I just didn't put them in there because I thought they didn't have enough returning stars coming back, and that's why I put them off the list. But those are my top 5. Panda, what are your top 5?
I think it's going to be interesting with the 12-team playoff. Now, the top 4 teams get buys, and I wonder if that is a good thing or a bad thing because they're going to have like an extended time off, and these other teams will keep playing. But then they could also get healthy from injury, so you just never really know. So I was going to say just be in the top 12. It's really all that matters, and I guess we'll figure out if a buy really is that important. But so my top 5 going bottoms up, I have Alabama at 5. Again, that's probably the one team on here that I don't think anybody wants to play any of these teams in the top 5, but I think Bama is probably the one that will be ascending at that point. So I have them at 5. I have Texas at 4. I'm just still not 110% sold on Sark. I still have memories of Washington and USC and all that. He kind of rehabbed under Saban, but I guess I need to see. And they did go into
Kind
Alabama.
of. He rehabbed under
He is
Saban.
going
Yeah.
through a divorce right now.
What? Right
So,
now he's going again. Oh.
Yes. The first lady of Texas football, he's going through a divorce. Announced about 6 weeks ago.
Oh. Was that the same family we sat with at that championship game?
Yes.
No kidding.
And the
We
Texas
sat.
fans loved her.
We sat and we were watching the championship game with Alabama, Georgia. Is that who it was?
Florida. It was Florida. We killed them. Yeah, it was one of those games.
So Sark's the family that Sark was marrying into we sat right next to.
It was his girlfriend at the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
at the time. It was
Pretty,
pretty cool.
pretty young girl. Yeah.
They were so proud of their daughter, and they were talking about their daughter dating the coach. And I was looking at her going, I don't know how good that is because you're sitting up here with us.
we had like a pole in front of us in the end zone corner.
We had decent seats, but we didn't have good seats. I'm like, I don't know how good he is, but I think he could get some better seats than what you're sitting at right here. But anyway.
Anyway, Sark, I think it's an open question whether he can really lead a team through what it's going to be brutal to get through that playoff. So anyway, but I got him at 4 because I think there's talent there and they got a quarterback. I have Oregon at 3. I think as I said earlier, I think Ohio State and Oregon are the 2 best teams in the Big Ten. I think they'll play in Oregon in October. They'll play again in the Big Ten championship game, in my opinion. And then who knows, they could even play here again. But I've got them at 3. I have UGA at 2. I think UGA I do like their quarterback, and I generally just love how they kind of, dominate in the trenches. And I think when you're playing like up to 17 games, you're going to have injuries. I think you're going to have to run the ball a lot more than we've ever seen teams do to get through the playoffs. And I think UGA is going to be set up to do that. So I like them there. And then I have Buckeyes at number 1. The only thing,
Homer.
this is probably the best Ohio State team in my adult life. The only real question mark is a quarterback. And if he ends up sucking, then I'll regret that comment. But assuming he plays even just the way he did at Kansas State, which didn't have the talent, there's really no weakness except for maybe a spot on the O line. But that all the rumors are that that is actually turning out to be a strength of the team. So they brought in Caleb Downs to replace Josh
Thank
Proctor. I
you.
mean,
Yeah, yeah. Thanks
That
for
dude's a
reminding me, Andy.
stud.
Yeah.
that guy is
Uh,
a freak. He's a freak.
Stud. Right. And
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
just going to be running the whole defense. He's a
yeah.
stud to go
So
along with 4 or 5 other studs on that defense. I
yeah,
mean,
they
that's going
all
to be the difference for us is that we could stop just about anything. You put that guy on any receiver coming out, and then that's Oregon's strength. They have that one really good receiver. Stick that guy on the receiver, and we should be able to shut it down.
The only thing I will say is I don't think the national champ necessarily comes out of these top five. I think it could come from an Ole Miss or some of these other teams that are going to find their way in, which I think is good for football because it's always been just 4 teams and it's always like the same 6 or 7 teams, whatever. I think you're going to see like an Ole Miss or somebody that's a non-traditional power is going to make it into the championship game, and I think that'll be good for football. But that's my
Like
top five.
TCU, like Washington, like we've seen
It's
in
good
the
for
past.
football.
Yeah,
No,
it is good
it's
for
good for
football,
football,
though.
except for those 2 games sucked, right? I mean,
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I don't want to
but
see
it's good
those.
for college football. I want to see different teams to get their chance.
Yeah.
But matter of fact, I want to go from 12 to 16 teams to be in the playoffs, so we get to see a few more teams in there where even a max goal has a slight chance to even possibly make it.
So we get to
Wouldn't it
beat
be
up the
cool?
guys more before they go into the NFL.
Be cool to like have Coastal Carolina as the 16th seed get into the playoffs. Just
Right.
get drummed by Alabama or somebody, but in the first game, but still it'd be kind of cool to see them in
Or
there.
pull an Appalachian State against Michigan, right? Just
Yeah,
pull one. They go and you pick 6 or whatever. Some stupid thing happens that they could go win a game.
New Mexico against Auburn, right before Auburn almost beats Alabama.
Oh, there you go. You try to pull out the Auburn loss. All right, there, Barbara. What is your top 5?
So my top 5, I think what you see on paper doesn't always translate to the field. Obviously, Andy even said you get injuries throughout the season, and you just never know. So quickly to go through mine because it's all Big Ten, SEC. 5 is Penn State, because if not, I'll be cursing Franklin again anyway, which we do every year. 4, I have Georgia. 3, I have Texas. 2, I have Bama. And the team that is the biggest payroll is number 1.
Wow. No,
You got my
Oregon.
Caleb Downs.
yeah,
Are you kidding me?
that's true. Wow.
Actually, if you look at the NIL, there are 2 or 3 other teams that have more than Ohio State has in it. But good point. But nobody knows what that dollar amount is because it's not public.
Georgia Tech just got a commitment from an offensive lineman here in the Atlanta area, and he's good, but he's not even like a surefire day one starter. And they just announced he's getting paid $800,000 a year for 3 years for a guy who probably won't even play his first year. So it's just that's such a developmental position to pay an O lineman $800,000. Are you kidding me?
Is that the guy from Milton?
His name is Petty. I think he's from like Sprayberry or somewhere. I don't know exactly
Okay.
where. Not the Milton kid, but his name is
Okay.
John.
Okay.
Anyway,
There was
so
someone
it's
Stone was talking about recently. Yeah.
just out of control. I'm not a fan of it. I don't like it, but it is the rule of law, I guess, these days. So I guess you just take advantage of it while you
I
can.
have my one last thing before we close it out. My surprise pick for this whole deal is Utah. I think Utah
Oh
is going to be
yeah.
one
Yep.
team that might surprise. We haven't talked ACC like Florida State or Miami or Clemson. All this. Nobody wants to touch any one of those 3 teams. Any one of those 3 teams could be good.
If
Um,
Dabo's not going into the portal, he's not going to be any good. I'm sorry.
but
It's just
I look at his age of his team. He's got some pretty good age on the team.
yeah.
I don't think his quarterback good enough. But that Utah team with Cameron Rising coming back,
Is
I
that his
think
year as a quarterback at Utah?
6th year. Yes, 6th year.
Oh, 6th year.
That guy's
Another
just tough as
Wanky.
nails. Love that guy. I mean, I want to watch the games just to see that dude just go and plow somebody over.
Wasn't Wanky like 28 or something?
Yeah, he was. Won the Heisman
Yeah.
at like 8. Yeah.
Yeah. 20. Yeah, because he like what was he, a pitcher or something?
He's a baseball player. Yeah, started late and all that. Yeah.
All right. We have our closing coming out. So before we go into the last segment here, I think we had the next show coming out. We're going to be talking our top 25 in the next show and who we are going to go pick the top 12. Special grats to our lovely, lovely, beautiful guest we had on this week. The SEC queen of picking games, Miss Barbara. Thank you so much for joining the show this week.
Thank
So
you for
Barb,
having me.
This is now living forever on the internet. So if you blow your picks, SEC picks, we're going to have you back and embarrass you. And
Hey
humble you.
man, I'm waiting to see how it all ends at the end because I want to see you two gravel and go, oh Barb, you were right. What's the
Okay, this week is the Andy Stump question.
Oh boy, here we go.
All right, this is a quote from a movie from the 80s.
Oh.
A quote from a movie from the 80s. The quote is, there's one thing I learned in all my years. Sometimes you just got to say, what the beep? Make your move.
My initial was Animal House, but I know that quote. How can I? I'm going to go Animal House, but I think it's probably wrong.
All right, I'm going to give you another clue. You're not going to allow that for the final. So part 2 of this quote comes from a different actor in this movie. And they say, sometimes you just got to say, what the beep? Make your move. Every now and then saying, what the beep?
Oh,
Brings
risky
freedom.
business. Risky business.
Ah, yes. There we go.
That's what it was. Thank you. I was like, it doesn't sound like Animal House. And then, yeah, that second time through, I'm like, oh, that's Tom Cruise. Sometimes you just gotta say, "Tuck it to you."
Yeah.
I was gonna give a little dancing move after that to give you another few more cute clues. Great job, man. That's like saying name your tune. You got it.
That's awesome.
That was a great movie. Oh man. I don't know how old we were when that came out, but I think it was like 1981, 82, somewhere in there.
Probably somewhere in there. I don't remember.
You guys
actually.
were a lot older than me, I can say that.
Oh,
All I know is I saw
I
him
wasn't
jumping.
allowed to
Oh,
watch
come
it when
on.
it came out.
Oh, because you had such restrictive parents. Hey, Bob, can you help me out? I need some restrictions now. All right, folks. Great show tonight.
Thanks,
Great
Barb.
picks.
Let's do this again sometime soon.
Would love to. Mid-season. I'll be
There you
back.
go. Yeah, mid-season review. I like that. We'll do that.
Thanks, everybody, and we love seeing all. Please comment, give great reviews of our show, and ask us questions. We will share it on the podcast. See y'all later. Oh, there we go.